A while back, I made a video called All Life on Earth Should Be Destroyed. In it, I attempted to show that those who are obsessed with opposing racism and restricting the speech of those they deem to be racist actually care more about that particular ideological imperative than in defending life itself. Now, I didn't actually think that when confronted with the prospect of all life on Earth being destroyed, anti-racists would actually protest against it on the basis of it being a racist thing to do. Now, I intended this video to be satire. I put satire in the headline so there would be no mistaking that point. I didn't actually believe that anti-racists, when confronted with the prospect of all life on Earth being destroyed, would object to it on grounds that it would be racist. I thought I was doing satire, but at the time I didn't know about the existence of this movement called efilism, and I didn't know about the existence of this individual named Hannibal Barca. I don't know what the etymological roots of efilism are. It appears to be a term that was either invented by Inmendum or popularized by Inmendum. A YouTuber named Tranquil87 describes efilism as a group of activists committed to working towards the extermination of all life on the planet. And based on my limited viewings, as much as I could tolerate of Inmendum, I think that's accurate. I think that Inmendum, if he had the ability to push a red button that would wipe out all life on the planet, he would have no moral qualms about doing so.
You fucking disgusting, deplorable human being. Fuck you!
How would I argue against Inmendum's views? By defending life as a value. How would a cultural Marxist argue against Inmendum's views? I'll let Hannibal Barca explain.
Is this efilis thing anti-woman? I just found some evidence to suggest it's entirely anti-woman. Gary doesn't like poor people. He thinks they breed out of control, and that gets somehow interferes with Darwinian evolution because with their stupidity they infect the rest of the gene pool. What does that sound like, folks? So, not only are we looking at somebody who is very probably, at the very least, a misogynist, we're also looking at somebody who has confessed to a number of people to having similar beliefs as fringe elements.
So in taking up the task of refuting Gary Inmendum's efilism, his desire to bring about the extinction of the human species, what does Hannibal Barca do? He points out that such an objective would be sexist, and it would be whatever Gary has in common with fringe elements. Let's see, what could that be? Well, thanks to Republic of Sandals, we all know what that could be. And yes, Republic of Sandals, that's apparently how he wants to be known. So because Republic of Sandals was able to track down this source, the name of it, I believe, was Merriam-Webster, that actually provides definitions of racism, we know that fringe elements is a racist. So people who want to destroy all sentient life on Earth are racist, sexist, and probably classist as well.
Is this really more of a classism and sexism thing? Because it sure as hell sounds like it is to me. This is going up right away, and I'll let everybody comment on it then. I'm looking forward to hearing what people have to say. I'm also looking forward to hearing examples of other shit that Gary has said that makes him look bad.
The attempt to try to make somebody who openly espouses the eradication of all life on Earth look bad is absurd on its face. All you can do is point out that that is indeed what he advocates. And you can't analogize it to anything worse. You can't satirize it. But if you're a cultural Marxist, you don't think in terms of life being the ultimate standard of value. You think in terms of the ultimate evil being inequality. So if he wants to start out with poor people who, they tend to be more black than white, so that's probably classist and racist. So the cultural Marxist sees this effort to prevent the human species from reproducing. Oh, well, that's women who reproduce. Oh, that's sexist. When faced with the prospect of confronting an individual who wants to destroy all human life, racist, sexist, classist. That's all they can come up with. Cultural Marxists share a common premise with the efilists. The efilists are open and explicit about what that premise is. Inmendum condemns DNA itself. Inmendum hates the DNA molecule because it self-replicates on its own and brings into existence all these consciousnesses that did not consent to that. So it's like we're all slaves to this DNA molecule. And the cultural Marxists hate DNA because it's racist. Because DNA results in inequalities, in variations. Nature is not an egalitarian force. Nature is constantly making things, making individuals and making groups within a species different from one another. And the cultural Marxists hate DNA for being that way. They want us all to be equal. But they don't come out and condemn nature directly for being so racist. They condemn those who relay its message. So this is the reason why the cultural Marxists are so insistent on denying the underlying realities of race. Because if they had to acknowledge that DNA, that human existence itself was inherently a force for inequality, that it would inherently produce people that were inherently different from each other in fundamental ways, such as the levels of their intelligence, then they could not bring themselves to value human life at all. You see, the cultural Marxists don't value life as such, life as it is. They value their idea of equality. They are motivated by their goal of making people equal. If they had to accept the reality of a planet that would be populated in perpetuity with populations of people that would always be unequal in relation to each other, and that those inequalities were built into nature, that there was nothing they could do about those inequalities, I think they would not be able to cope with that. They would not be able to say, yes, this type of arrangement is worth preserving. That type of arrangement being life.